Welcome to the October 21st, 2025 edition of the Sloan's Lake Citizens Group. Thank you for coming tonight. Again, we have a full agenda. My name is Deb Neely. And we have Tom Brunn over here, and he's going to help me run the meeting. And we're going to start off tonight with the crime stats. So I don't know what to do about this scribble. This is crazy. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. I don't know. I'm not sure what to do. So if you can just possibly get past it. Okay, so what I noticed for this month is there's an awful lot of theft from vehicles in the Colfax neighborhoods as well as the Sloan's Lake Park neighborhood. And a lot of public disorder, whatever that means. I guess that's the trouble with some of these graphics, is that you don't know exactly, you don't know the details, you just know what they're calling it. So quite a few drug and alcohol related charges. It looks like if you look down in the lower left corner that West Colfax has about 3 times as much crime as Sloan's Lake. So that's not good. Sorry to report that. Sorry to see that. So if you want to get these stats yourself, you can click on these round circles and you just go to Denver Crime Now. And you can dial in anything you want. You can dial in your neighborhood. You can dial whatever crimes you want to see. You can do what dates you want, whether it's last month or the last week or what have you. So it's a real handy tool, and we really like using them.
Yeah, when you click on it, it will tell the address. You can give the exact address, but it was like the 2100 block of, and it says the time that it was reported, the time police got there, is what more than just. Let's see, what's the one that's kind of up there?
We talk about
the crops.
So, for those who just joined, sorry about the scribbles. I don't know how that happened. One time a participant had used her stylus and it did that. So I'm not sure. I was talking to Jennifer earlier. I'm not sure if that's what happened, and she's no longer here. So bear with us. Next month, we will have the CROs here to talk to us about more details about crime. You guys are probably aware that there was a fatality on 26 Crossing Federal. And I tried really hard to get more information. It was a hit and run. And as far as I know, this has not been solved, but for whatever reason, whenever there's a fatality, I cannot, for the life of me, get any more information than it's under investigation. So it's a little frustrating, but as far as I know, they have not solved this crime. And there was another accident on, let's see, it was northbound Sheridan at 17, and it was a fatality as well. I believe it was a pedestrian, and I don't know any more details than that either, but these were about a week apart, these two fatalities.
17 Sheridan.
Okay.
It was a pedestrian.
It was a pedestrian. Okay.
And there was a vision zero process. And
right.
I'm going to a meeting on the site today to attend site.
On site of the
Yeah.
accident?
Yeah. Yeah, the visions, so what happens is when these occur, and this is why sometimes it gets slow, is the Denver police, this is all because I'm involved with the ability to the West Colfax.
Thank you.
That's
Okay.
why I have I have like a first grader's knowledge of this. There are other
Okay.
people when we can go. But when there is a pedestrian fatality, it triggers the Vision Zero process.
Okay,
And they are supposed to get in very quickly, ascertain what happened, possible, things might be adopted. So,
okay,
and so, there are several that are ongoing. Right now. For example, there was bypass 14th and Yates. There was fatality.
the fatality on 14th and Yates. Can you all hear, by the way? Can you hear what Howard is saying?
We can
Online?
hear, Deb. What we can't see is the presentation, so I can't see that someone's scribbling, but there's probably a pencil that they're playing with. But we
I'm
can't
wondering
see.
if that was the stylus again, Jennifer. Remember when that happened?
Yeah, that's because I was scribbling, but I'm not scribbling right now. But I can tell you, we can't see your screen. We only see the audience.
Okay, thank you very much for
Oh,
that.
wait a second,
Thank you
wait a second. I
very
can,
much.
no, you know what? I can go back and forth and I can see it. I apologize. I just had it on the audience. That's my
Oh,
fault.
that's okay.
Yeah, somebody's
but you
scribbling
can
with that.
hear,
We can
you can
hear
hear
it,
what
yes.
Howard was talking about. We were talking about the fatality on Sheridan 17, and there's a Vision Zero process.
Yeah, and there are stages that are, can only move forward if Denver police has wrapped up its inquiry or its investigation. So like 14th and Yates, I don't think has gotten as far as 17th Sheridan has. And then this one might take longer too, the federal.
Okay.
26.
Okay.
May take, so they try to like wait until they have a sense of exactly what happened as a result of police investigation before they then move forward with the more Vision Zero type inquiry.
Okay.
And so, in the email thread I was on, I could sense a little bit, maybe not here, a little bit of frustration that it takes a while for them to compete.
Right.
But it's a problem. So that's probably what you're feeling is not
Exclusive. Yeah. Thank you very much for that. Now, is this a public, where is any of the public invited to come to this? Do they have to be signed up?
I was, okay, so someone from the ability team provided, she forwarded it to me. Beyond that, in terms of who is, whether it's open, not open.
Okay.
They are headed by this. I will follow this.
Thank you. This is something I would definitely to attend and would be better at updating folks
Well,
on what's going on.
it's in our area.
Right. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Okay. Appreciate it. So, okay. Great news. Wonder if there's going to be one on Federal and 26th. One would think. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I believe that was a week after the one on Sheridan.
The Vision Zero process is focused on what I'll call the vulnerable road users, cyclists, pedestrians, etc. And bike walk.
I will say that 17th and Sheridan personally scares me crossing Sheridan on 17th.
Absolutely.
And I just, I do a 360 and just like, where is everybody and do they see me?
There is no safe part.
I very much agree. So hopefully.
Improvements, traffic. part of the construction.
Good, thanks.
But both those intersections have traffic cameras, so that should be somewhat of a help. But the 17th and Sheridan, we were going west on 17th, somebody was coming north on Sheridan and ran off the road and onto the new sidewalk. I don't know whether he was texting or had a seizure or whatever, but it was like, fortunately, there was nobody on that brand new, nice wide sidewalk that hasn't been there in 50 years.
And are you positive about the camera? I don't
thought
think
there
there's
were
one on
traffic
Federal
cameras.
on 26, believe it or not.
No,
And,
they've got the Hawk at 25th.
right, right.
Hmm.
So, but they should certainly, I was thinking of the fire station, 7-Eleven, right, Safeway, the whole bit over there.
Well, I'll check it.
Okay, thank you, John. Okay, I think that's it, all we have for the crime stats this evening. Next up is Sterling Sims from the mayor's office to talk with us about the Vibrant Go Bond. Okay, got it. And then stop my.
In the meantime, how many of you have yard signs about that?
That's a great question.
I do. A lot of people are on the fence about a lot of it. So.
All right, well, hi everyone, my name is Sterling Sims. I am a senior outreach manager for Mayor Johnson's office as my day job, but I am required to say I'm here in personal capacity to talk to you a little bit about tonight, about the Vibrant Denver Fund. First, just want to give you a quick overview of what the general obligation bond is, sort of the history of GO bonds in the city in the past. I'm going to walk through the benefits of doing these bonds, why we decided to take these bonds out now. I want to highlight some key projects and we're going to talk about how you all can get involved in the campaign to do our some fun. So with that, first, I want to give some background on what a general obligation bond is. There are many different buckets that the city uses to fund various things. The one that you've probably heard a lot about recently is the general fund. The general fund is what we use to collect sales tax revenue to fund city operations throughout the year. The general fund goes to all city operations. We have a separate fund called the capital improvement. That is a much smaller bucket of money that is used every year to take care of some of our deferred maintenance city property costs. The problem is the CIP fund only has about 140 to 240 million. It's not nearly enough to cover the actual deferred maintenance needs of the fund. Denver right now has about $7 billion for deferred maintenance. And that's your roads that are falling apart, those are bridges that are in disrepair, city facilities that might need environmental or HVAC improvements, things that we typically don't have the cash on hand to pay for because those are really big projects that require massive amounts of funding that oftentimes outstretch the capital improvement program. And so to pay for some of those needs, to take big chunks out of that $7 billion total, every 7 to 10 years, the city of Denver will introduce GO bonds. GO bonds are issued and purchased by institutions and underwriters across the country. And we use these bonds to raise money for those really expensive capital needs that we have, but we can't necessarily pay for through the CIP. All GO bonds are not funded from the general fund. The money that goes to paying those bonds back comes from a dedicated revolving bond fund that comes from 6 mills on your property tax. This revolving bond fund has a capacity to borrow about $1.6 billion right now without raising the mill levies that are assessed on property taxes every year. Because Vibrant Denver is capped at $950 million, it is well below that $1.6 billion threshold, which means that taxes will not increase if this Vibrant bond passes. I'd be happy to take questions at the end and get through some of this, but important to note, if the bond does not pass, that does not mean that those mill levies go down. The mill levy will stay the same regardless of what happens. And bonds can only be used to support capital projects. They can't fund city operations after the projects are brought online. That's all through the general fund. Bonds can only go to those specific projects that are passed in the. And so I'll walk through, these are some of the bonds that we've done in the past. This current bond structure that we have has been used since 1979. And since it has passed, we've taken out bonds a total of 5 different. The most recent one, the first one on this regular cadence was in 1989, with about $250 million projects. The second one was in 1998 with about 100 million in projects. 2007 was another pretty substantial bond that cost about 550 million. Now, I mentioned earlier, we typically do these in the 7 to 10 year time frame. The last regularly scheduled bond that we did in that time frame was in 2017. The Elevate Denver bond, it was about $937 million. So in the ballpark of where we are now. In 2021, however, as the city was coming out of the pandemic recession, we realized that we needed a means of stimulating our economy as we were coming out, creating jobs, bringing online new projects, increase our economic productivity. It was really taken out as a means of stimulating the Denver economy, helping kickstart our recovery out of the COVID pandemic. Because that was a shortened timeline, the bond amount in 2021, that Denver bond, is much lower. It was only about $260 million, which is not typical for what we see. We're usually quite a bit. What's happening now is the 2017 bonds and the 2021 bonds are beginning to mature, which means that it is creating new lending capacity through our revolving loan fund, which has now allowed us to take online the Vibrant Denver bond. It's about $950 million for 60 main projects and over 140 other unnamed projects that will be determined in partnership with the interagency and in partnership with the city council. Should bond funds be approved this? These are some projects that have been funded in the past. Almost all of these were included in the 2017 bond, Denver bond. That included the new animal hospital, the Denver Zoo, improvements to 16th Street, that was largely funded by the Elevate Denver bond as well. For those of you who have not heard about the Urban Peak Mothership Campus, that was a new shelter specifically designed for at-risk vulnerable youth experiencing homelessness. They do really amazing work over there. If you haven't been to the site, we give tours. Highly encourage you to check it out. That was also done with the Elevate bond, and the Central Denver Library was approved. So these are the types of projects that can be approved by a bond. And again, as I mentioned, they do not pay for any operations. They are strictly for the. So the big question that folks often ask is, why are we pursuing bonds like that? There's a pretty tenuous economic situation happening across the country. It's obviously a pretty big concern for folks. And what we often tell folks is that with that $7 billion long worth of capital improvement projects, if we had to rely on only using our CIP fund to take care of that need, we would be waiting in the tunes of upward of 2025 before we had the money to actually take care of it. And by the time we can actually take care of those projects, the cost of inflation, the cost of tariffs, the cost of the further decay of those projects make them exorbitant and more expensive. As expensive as I thought that $950 million number may sound, it truly is the most cost-effective way to care of these, because it will allow us to take care of these projects early before they get more expensive. This bond will create 7,000 jobs across the city of Denver, and it will bring about a $2 billion economic impact to the city, which we think is really important, especially now in a time where we see that sales tax revenue start. Something that's different about these bonds. Almost all of the other bonds that I mentioned earlier had about a 10-year lifespan, which meant from the time of approval to the time that all of the projects were completed, it took about 10 years. 10 years is a really, really long time. If you notice, about 70% of Elevate Denver bond projects have been completed, with an additional 30% that are not slated to be completed until 2026. We wanted to make sure that with Vibrant Denver, we could get these projects on the line as fast as possible. And so we ensured that the vast majority of these projects are already shovel ready. Meaning that through their design phase, we already know what these projects are going to look like. We just haven't been able to identify funding for them. And so the bonds will allow those projects to have funding to go forward past design phase and to actually. So because the vast majority of these projects are shovel ready, we are expecting a delivery timeline of 6, with the same time frame as these bonds. This is going to be the faster timeline that we've had for the Denver bond, bring these projects online. We remain committed to that throughout this process. I do want to talk a little bit about how these projects were selected. I know that some of you probably attended some of our community conversations we had around this. All bonds that we bring forward in Denver begin with a community engagement process. What we are really proud of is the engagement process we provide. People have noted that the timeline for that engagement process was shorter than most of the previous bonds we brought online. Elevate Denver had a 13-month bond community process. Rise Denver had somewhere around an 8-9 month process. Vibrant Denver's community engagement process was only 6 months, but we wanted to make sure that we made the most out of this. We received 7,600 different community touch points. We had 6,200 different survey responses, and all of those responses generated, we had 1,000 town hall attendees as well. But all of those responses generated a list of about 1,100 different project ideas that cost us about $6 billion. And those were all projects that were directly recommended by community. What we're really proud about is the fact that 7,600 is actually more community touch points than both the Elevate Denver bond and the Rise Denver bond, in spite of their dramatically longer time. Obviously, 1,100 projects, $6 billion, far too big for the scope of this bond. And so once those projects were received by community, they were then sent to what are called technical review. So those are committees that were made up of interagency partners from our infrastructure department, community planning and development, the Department of Finance. And those technical review committees, their only job was to determine how expensive all 1,100 of these projects would be, how quickly we could get them online, and how feasible they would be to fit into small area locations. Once the technical review committee put its review on all 1,100 projects, those were then sent to 5 different subcommittees based off of what type of projects those bond. And so the 5 subcommittees are the ones that will actually appear on the bond. By state statute, we have to break up bonds based off of what type of project. So 2A you'll see is transportation and mobility. Measure 2B is going to be our parks and recreation bond. 2C is going to be our city facilities, libraries, rec centers. 2D is going to be arts and venue cultures, and 2E is going to be housing. And so we had subcommittees for all 5 of those, which looked through the entire 1,100 project list and then narrowed them down to 200 projects. Once that happened, it was then sent to an executive committee made up of community members appointed both by the mayor and by city council, to then finalize that list down to about 60 named projects, about 140 unnamed projects, for the total amount of 950. Once the executive committee cleared that, it was then sent to city council, who is now referred it to the ballot for voters. Once the voters approve it, God willing, it's not as though we're going to just be dumping a $950 million market overnight. These bonds are not going to be issued except on a project. This will allow us to more comfortably manage the amount of debt that we're taking on at any given time. We currently have a AAA credit rating, the city of Denver does, and our finance team has been very sure that we keep that AAA credit rating even as these new bonds are to give you a little bit of background, the bond itself has 5 questions. That's going to be project ballot measures 2A through 2B. It has 90 plus specific projects with 200 different repairs that it brings up. The biggest bucket that you'll see is transportation and mobility, and that's typical for any of the bonds we've done in the past. Transportation usually gets the lion's share of the bonds that the city issued, followed by Parks and our city facility, Parks and Recreation, Health and Human Services, and Shelter. Just to give a little background on what projects are included in this fund, it's over 100 different intersections, safety improvements, largely around pedestrian safety, traffic calming, 13 major roadway and safety improvements. We have the West Side Health Facility, which is going to be massively improved under this fund. The new Denver Child Advocacy. Right now, the Denver Children's Advocacy Center deals with children who are involved in the criminal justice system, usually because they're victims of domestic violence, of sexual abuse. And right now, all of those services are not housed under them. They're largely maintained by the county courts, by various nonprofits who work with the police department. But because all of those services are scattered throughout the city, it becomes really difficult to coordinate them for our children in need. So what this will do is dramatically expand the Denver Children's Advocacy Center, which is right now just a house that these various organizations will go to work with their clients. It will make it so all of these services are actually on site. So we don't have to wait for scheduling delays and pickup, and we can more streamline those services to the families. One of the really big projects that are obviously going to pertain to this neighborhood in particular is environmental remediation for Sloan Lake. For those, I'm sure most of you know this, but there are about 26 different inlets in Sloan's Lake that are not filtered. And so what this means is that over the many, many years, toxic spills have essentially begun to fill in Sloan's Lake to the point where now the average depth of Sloan's Lake is only about 3.5 feet. Now, what this has the effect of doing is it allows for toxic algae to grow. It's essentially made that water toxic to where people can no longer swim in it, you can't boat in it anymore. And over time, eventually, the city will need to invest in taking some of that sludge out of the lake. This bond will not do that. That's going to be a hundreds of millions of dollar process and many, many years long process. But what this bond contributes money to is to stopping the leak. What we're going to use this money for is about $5 million coming from the bond, with an additional $10 million that's going to be matched with the wastewater. And what this will do is it will add filtration, both natural and mechanical, to at least stop the flow of the toxic sediment. So it's not going to solve the problem per se, but it's going to stop the bleeding, and it's going to make it easier for us to address the problem when we have the funding to get it down. That's going to be a really, really big project that's going to pertain. Also included, just to name a few, we have a first of its kind housing development that's going to be on top of a library. We're building a new branch library at East Colfax with affordable housing on top. We think this is really going to serve as a great model for housing on Coast City owned spaces, and it'll really help us develop the best practices in the future on it. And if you do want to find the full project list, you are more than welcome to visit our website, www.bobington.com, where you can see that full list. You can also see a map of where all of the projects. Let's start campaign, which we have 14 days now until the election day. Ballots are already in for those of you who have not yet voted. We encourage you to do so, but we need to speak to as many community members in this city as possible to ensure that they vote on this bond. If they do not, as I mentioned earlier, almost all of these projects are going to increase cost. If we can't identify funding now, it's also going to make all of those issues that we have on traffic safety, around environmental issues, it's going to prolong. So we really feel that if we take our city on a sustainable path for the infrastructure we have, it's going to be crucial. So we are doing all of the campaign things for folks who've done it. We're doing door canvassing every weekend. We have a big social media campaign as well that folks are part of. We will be doing paid media, all those fun things. When you can find all of the opportunities we have to get involved on our website. If you are so inclined to join us, we certainly love to have you. I did want to point this out. Denver Post did endorse Survivor Denver bonds earlier than they typically do. They actually provided the endorsement before it was referred to voters, because I think they really saw that in this time of economic uncertainty, we need to figure out how we can invest in ourselves, given that the money we're receiving from the federal government necessarily. We really have to learn how to take care of our needs on our own, and the bond really enables us to do that. So we were really proud to have them so early. I will stop there to answer any questions.
Do you mind, just a little closer to the microphone?
Oh,
I'm
yes.
hearing that it's a bit hard to hear and echoey. I don't know if I can do much about the echo.
No worries. Well, I will stop there. Be happy to answer any questions. I would just want to name a few resources. First, it's going to be that campaign website, vibrantdenver.com. If you want a yard sign, you can order one up there, and we will make sure to deliver it to you. You don't have to pick it up. You don't have to do a thing. We'll get you covered. The city website is also another great resource. denvergov.org/vibrantbond. That's where you can see the full project list. You can also see the full synopsis of the community process. All 50 public meetings that we held throughout this process are all available on that link. So if you have any questions around that, it also has a pretty nice explainer on how these bonds are paid for. That's another great resource I encourage you to check out. But I will stop there. If there are any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer.
First of all, the 5 entities that you said that are under this one, can you vote on each one of them, or are they inclusive of all as well?
That's right. So you can vote on whichever one that you would like or not. So state statute, that's right. It's not all or nothing. State statute requires that they be truncated out. I would, of course, encourage you to vote for all of them, because what is a park if you don't have transportation to couple it with? But you are entirely able to make that choice on which ones you want.
Also, that transportation and mobility, does that include what they're doing to East Colfax?
Are you talking about the BRT?
Yeah, that. All that. Gargantuan.
That is not going to be included.
Okay, that's not. Okay, and then my last question. So, so you're saying that like it's 950 million is what we would be getting? Okay, but then it's a $2 billion total on interest. So do you think that that's going to be over $1 billion worth of interest and principal over a 10-year period to the property owner taxpayers? And then do you think that's going to be the game $1 billion for inflation tariff job?
Yeah, after 1080, we are pretty confident that that is the case. That tends to be the case with these bonds we bring online. We're talking in terms of hundreds of millions that we're having to pay for these projects. We don't have that much for the entire capital improvement plan. So by the time we could take care of $950 million worth of needs, we're talking 20, 25 years down.
Okay, so then that's just what we have to pay is just $1 billion something like this.
That's not popping numbers.
Figures.
Yeah.
Um,
And as I mentioned earlier, we have the capacity to bring online about twice as much as what we're bringing online with Vibrant Denver. And that's all coming from that dedicated tax revenue. And so it's not going to increase the tax revenues or the mill levies that people pay on their property taxes, because we have enough in that pool to not only take care of this bond, but we could do about another 600-700.
Okay, but you're trying to do a good story about the thing, is that there is a community that has this from the side, we would do it, so we weed it out, try to fix the things like, of course, we want the souls and papers. But I also, what I hear you saying is those are down the list of priorities and to maybe that so that they do have the
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Two things. Number one, I was super impressed that you knew that Sloan's Lake was pretty shallow to walk across. Good on you. And you made the point that it's in our hood. But it's not just in our hood. That is a major regional resource.
Yep, absolutely.
It is a major regional problem that affects the environment and health of this community. It is a major asset to the health of the social community. bringing people together to recreate, to see each other, to be with each other, that reaches all strata of our area. Jeffco could help. Because a lot of definitely, whatever. But what I was concerned when you said is when we have the money. And that is when we have the money. And this is the kind of a bond like this is one of those instances where you're supposed to have the money. If the bond measures follow the usual path, when we have the money, might be 10 years from now. So what is the environmental, social, and health costs of waiting 10 years on that project? So it's already, it's been hammered down to $5 million. Okay, it is what it is. But when we have money, it's not a good sound, not just to us, really, to the city and the area.
Yeah. No, I understand, and I will say that 5 million is being matched by wastewater, which 10 million, which is what's allowing us to complete the film. For dredging, I have seen estimates anywhere between 250 to 450. I wish that we could have this year. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. I expect that we won't see the last of Sloan's Lake on whatever the future bonds we might introduce. This is something that we are focused on, but when you're looking at a project.
One last quick question on projects. Sometimes projects go away. So some of the projects that are on this may just evaporate, whatever it is. What happens, if I'm understanding this correctly, this bond measure will give bond authority. It doesn't actually borrow money for project by project. That's right. What happens when a particular thing is budgeted at a particular amount? Does that bond authority remain? It could go to other things that aren't on the list.
As I understand, is specifically for the projects we have outlined and been referred to. And what I will say is, in the event that the cost of those projects increase beyond that bond authority, that would be a different story. But it's important to note that this bond includes a fairly large contingency for the event that tariffs, inflation, things like that will cost. So we don't expect there to be any surprise.
What is there's 100 unnamed projects or whatever. What is that?
So right now, a lot of folks have highlighted some pretty significant transportation safety issues across the city. And what DOT typically does, Department of Transportation, what they typically do is they will take note of those infrastructure needs. And if it's serious enough, if it's highlighted by community enough, they will actually go through the design process to determine, okay, how can we make this stuff? There are tons and tons of different intersections, areas across the city like that, where designs have already been completed, but funding has not. So what will happen after these bonds are approved is city council will work with DOT to determine where exactly those projects to be. A lot of those projects have already been identified and included in what's called the capital improvement, which that $7 billion earlier. They just have not specifically been named by city council, but the authority is there to then select which ones are most important based on conversations.
But it's all for trans.
It's all for transit.
So they collaborate with people that know the intricacies of the infrastructure, the roads, the engineers.
That's right.
To ascertain which bridges or infrastructure needs to be, it's the most.
Yep. Exactly right.
Sounds like citizens group, it's both in Council District 1 and 3. And I was speaking with Amy Torres, and she said in her district, part of it will be improving the pedestrian lawn assembly.
Yep.
And she felt that was really quite important for people to realize. And piece of it is going to the website and looking at all those little lines.
Right.
So get it out there, that's part of it.
Yeah, and Santa Fe Treescape is actually one of the main buckets, so it doesn't chip into that unnamed bucket.
I think fortunately for us, Sloan's Lake Park Foundation is doing a lot to get more funding. So we're not relying just on this bond at all. And there's talk of tax district being created between Denver and there's 4 other municipalities where the water flows from into the lake. So, and there's just so much, they don't talk about it, but I'm aware that there's a lot of negotiation going on, a lot of talk that we have no idea getting the funding. So, I mean, I'm hopeful by the things I'm hearing.
Maybe say like, there's not only the city and the taxpayers, we can maybe operate as a community and see the impact all of it.
Absolutely.
They dump. Toxic.
Yeah.
So they don't all those, I want to go walk around all the time dumping in to kill whatever's.
Yeah.
They just have a hose that they go around with that, it's just. They're all the time. Yes, I'm sorry, it's over. Yeah, so I'm just wondering too, if we work together as a community and city and find a grant and find, relationship with other historical. As a historical landmark of Denver, we have very few, we're not very artistic, as like the Wild West. We have very few of those pods in our city that we can maybe work together and.
With you, Buffy Brun.
Okay.
So it was mentioned a little bit, Sloan Lake Park Foundation does exactly that.
Oh.
And they are, I think Deb mentioned it, and Sterling knows about
Okay.
it. They're meeting with Jeffco, the floodplain district. Yeah, they're getting, what are they called? Sloan Lake Park Foundation. And they actually come to these meetings, pretty regularly.
Yes, they do.
But they are looking into grants. Sterling also spoke about how federal funding is kind of tough right now, so they have pursued a few. And things are kind of
I
tough.
mean, it doesn't hurt to ask, just ask and ask and ask.
Oh, believe me, they do a great.
That's what they're getting.
And we also need, I didn't know about those things, so we need to get people together and start.
Oh, I've gotten back to you in my slide deck.
Okay, oh, you're up next.
Are you online much?
Me?
Yes. Okay, I mean, just look up Sloan's Lake Park Foundation. There's a ton of information on it.
Okay. No,
Okay.
What's the underlying? What was the underlying?
As I understand it, so
There has to be.
What is the question, please?
So,
Sorry.
the Department of Finance expert.
What was the question?
How the mill levies may or may not adjust based off increases on assessed property value.
Okay. Yeah, I just, there's some really serious language in these booklets that they send out, very serious. and-
Yeah, I suppose I'll share a little bit on that.
Yeah, please.
So when, Blue Book is drafted in the state of Colorado, they actually have a team that will fact check all of the things that are in them. City of Denver, that is not the case. Our Blue Books are not fact checked. Essentially, anybody can submit a pro-con statement and it can be included in the Blue Book. I know that there's some inaccuracies in that, that have been raising some eyebrows, particularly about the Broncos Stadium and all those things. I want to just express, no, money is not going to the Broncos Stadium from this bond. Please keep that in mind. If you want the more comprehensive overviews of these bonds, I would suggest going to Axios Denver, which came out with their ballot guide today. Denverite also did a pretty good one, but yeah, that's just one thing to keep in mind if you're Actually, and,
What's the expected increase to the operating?
well, the biggest one we're really gonna see is the parking. That is included in this bond. We're still trying to work out what that staffing is gonna look like, so I don't figure it's not there, but for the most part, what I'll say is, these are almost entirely capital improvement projects that are not going to the program from, there are those few instances like that new library, park of golf course. The Denver Children's Advocacy Center, for instance, that is already programmed out. The profits side of the city of Denver, so the vast majority of these projects belong to the developer, but there are some projects.
I think we're gonna have to wrap it up here.
Great, no worries. Well, feel free to visit our website, vibrantdenver.com. If you have any questions, you can find our contact info, and by all means, please reach out. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Sterling, very much. Next up, I was going to just update you. Let's see what's going on here. Sorry about that. I don't know what just happened. Can you online hear me right now? I'm not sure just what happened here. Bear with
Yes,
me a second.
we can hear you very well, Deb.
I think I just shared the wrong thing. Nope.
Deb, did you? Oh. Deb, we can hear you very well.
Thank you. I'm just
You're welcome.
looking for my slides right now. This is weird. Just a minute. Okay, you guys can't see my slides though, right?
No, we can't see the slides.
Sorry, everybody. I don't know why I'm not seeing. Let's see. I'm frustrated right now. Sorry, folks. There we go. Oh, it's not you know. I'm just trying to scroll down to Keynote. I'm trying to scroll down to Keynote. And this box always. See, it's down. I'm trying to.
Can you expand the size?
Try yes. That's a good idea. Whoop, no. I guess it was expanded. Thanks, folks. I'm just, for whatever reason it's down. Lower. Okay, okay.
That one?
I think this is it here. I think. Wait, no, it should say Keynote. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Sorry for the delay, everybody. I just wanted to update everybody, first of all, on the basketball courts and the tennis courts that are being redone on the north side of Sloan's Lake. What has happened so far is they took out the existing basketball court and tennis court, and then they had to do some abatement of the asbestos. So right now, that abatement is finished and the land will sit until they start the project. And supposedly that project, it's a DPR project, is going to start in the spring. A lot of times these things don't really start on time, but that is what they're saying. So hopefully that'll happen. This is what it looks like today. There's some progress there. And there's another project that kind of goes along with it that I wanted to talk about. And well, first of all, here's the design of the tennis courts and the basketball courts. And I guess it's kind of like the last one. We had improved tennis courts, improved basketball courts, obviously, because they're new. There's going to be 2 ADA parking spaces. There's going to be all new parking here just south of the tennis courts. And then it says, yeah, the project is theoretically going to be done in fall of 2027. So got a little ways to go. Along with that project is they're going to be doing a 4-way stop at Tennyson and 26. Yay, big time. So what's going to happen here? This is looking at the horseshoe entrance from the north side of Sloan Lake. It's looking north, and they're going to be taking out this horseshoe entrance altogether and putting in just a regular street for entering and exiting, just a regular road. That'll come from 26.
And 4-way stop.
Yes, it'll be a 4-way street, absolutely. So they're going to be, Tom, I couldn't remember what these curves are called here, the one on the northeast corner. Anyway, they're going to match the northwest corner to the northeast corner. So this is, yeah, this is on 26 and Tennyson on the north side. They are going to be, see, this is where the bus stop is, and right behind it is that mound. So this is part of that horseshoe entrance. That's going to go away. And then they're going to move the RTD bus stop a little east of the actual entrance once they're finished. Let's see. Okay. They're going to be leaving that medium in the middle. There's a medium where you could stand on halfway, you know, between the north side of east and west on 26. You guys know what I'm talking about? They're going to leave that there for safety purposes. And that project will happen maybe a little bit in tandem with the basketball courts and so forth. Tom and I were talking, the grass all along of the park, you can't, there's no sidewalk, it's just grass on the Sloan's Lake side of the street. And as long as they're doing those reparations, I suppose, it would be good if they would put a sidewalk along, you know, so.
You know, particularly they have the access ramps going up onto the grass.
Right.
A wheelchair or a walker. Moving that on grass, it's not.
Yeah, so we need to maybe get in touch with these people. I talked to a couple of people from one from DPR, the other project is a Dottie project, and they're very easy to reach, so we'll see about that. I did want to point out that this is Stewart and 17th, and there's going to be a marked crosswalk, and where the purple is, that's going to be concrete with a little bit of sod thrown in for good measure. So, that's good news too. So does anybody have any questions about any of that? I don't see Keith online, so I don't think we're going to hear from him today. Buffy, did you want to give us an update on? Okay, that would be great. Buffy Brunlive is a resident in Avondale Apartments.
We have some positive things to report. Avondale, I don't know if all y'all know, but the bottom line is I live on Avondale Apartments on the corner of 14th and basically Federal, right behind the library. And just a horrific, not low income, it's affordable housing. So anyhow, long and short of it is we finally were able to, we just had elevators weren't working, fire alarms going off constantly. Days and I, a copious amount of homeless people and criminals and trespassers in there, sleeping, eating, doing drugs, stealing. Couple of guys have died. We've had corpses that have OD'd that were anyhow, on. Have horrible problems, but since we filed a class action lawsuit in June, I'm one of the 4 named complainants on that. They started the chamber thinking it might be because of that. So it's positive. We have our garage doors. My car got stolen last year, along with a lot of other people. 2 huge garage doors, and the 4 entrances beside those are still not secured. So people just have full rainy buildings. So to date, we have both the garage doors have been fixed. Both the elevators are up and going, which we really, really struggle with the people that need those desperately. What else? So they got the thing downstairs working. The manager that we have now, her name is Danielle Klein, and she's actually wonderful, like really manages the place, and it's a huge acquisition, but it keeps moving forward. We're a little nervous because still those 4 doors are not secure, so people can just come in, and they do. And during the winter times, typically we see a lot more escalated issues of that, but there are some positive changes moving forward. We just had a meeting with our attorney for the class action at the 7th of this month, and so it just moves really slow. That's how the law works. And so, but the good news is he thinks in the next like 30 to 60 days that the judge will approve our class action so that we can have subpoena power and get these monkeys done.
Well done, Buffy. Yay. Thank you for that. All right. I just wanted to point this out. This is where Little Sisters of the Poor was. And I just got this in an email right before this meeting. And there's going to be a huge senior housing community. What I did try to do is get hold of these people because I didn't see the word affordable in any of their advertising. So, I mean, there's a whole lot more, but you know, if you folks are interested, there you go, November 13th. Go ask questions and get the lowdown. So, but that is exciting, isn't it? Look at the building.
That's right. That's how
It's just, yeah.
Didn't they have some of the improvements?
Yes, they did.
Yes. I don't know if that's going on or not still.
No.
I'm guessing not. Okay. So, thought that was interesting. I had no idea. I just, while I'm here, I'm gonna have Alessandra talk next. We do have a happy hour, and it's our 3rd Wednesdays, and they've been pretty successful so far. We've had a lot of fun. It's been great to connect with the community that way. And the next one is November 5th. Yeah, 433 West 29th. Do you know where Hogshead Brewery is? Is there? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, copy and paste much. Sorry, folks. It's right. if you know where Hogshead Brewery is, it's actually really close to Tennyson and 29. And you'll see it. It's on the north side of the street. Greg's Kitchen and Tap House, thank you very much for noticing that. I would hate to have anybody driving around 433 with 29, wherever that is.
So what is it?
It is a restaurant and,
No, what is the address?
oh, the address, well, I mean, I could look it up real
It's,
quick.
it's near the intersection.
All right, just-
29.
It starts off, I think it starts off. 433.
Yeah, so for I don't usually do that. I'm disappointed with myself for that. There we go. Oh, thank you. You're very- Okay, so, Alessandra, would you fill us in on District 1? So forth? Thank you, and you can. Maybe I better unshare.
Just take a second.
Share, is that a word?
My name is Alessandra Dominguez. I'm the aide for council in Sandoval. Just coming to present our monthly updates. So we already did one set of our monthly office hours. We have another set coming up on Friday, October 31st. Those are virtual. You can book a slot to talk to her one-on-one anytime from 11 till 1, and you can sign up with that link. We also have it on our website and it's in our newsletter. Just FYI, Tennyson Art Walk, first Friday. Next one is November 7th. It goes from 5 to 10, and the one after that, November 5th. The leaf drop program has begun, so weekday locations are listed above. In the link, you can click on them to see where those locations are. That runs until November 21st, and then they do have one set of weekend locations. A free legal resource day, so Thursday, October 23rd from 8 to 4 at the City and County Building. If you need any free legal resources, including lawyers, judges, and legal professionals, please stop by. It includes topics such as county, family, and probate. They will not be covering criminal matters at this particular event. I do have a phone number and email address if you would like to reach out to them. So Deb already went over the Sloan's Lake Park improvement, so I'll just move past that one. No. And then, so this event is put on by Sloan's Lake Park Foundation. So if you happen to have time, Kathy, it was up there on the slide.
Nothing. She's so many. Yeah, no. I'm looking for houses, actually.
Well, they do have a park cleanup Friday, October 24th at 10:30. Come dressed in your favorite Halloween costume. Afterwards, everyone is welcome to go to Odell. They will be providing drinks and food. They ask that you do please sign up. They will provide pickers, buckets, and gloves. And I'm sure Kurt Weaver or somebody else from that organization will be at this event. Yes, so they do all the things that you were talking about, the grants, they're getting people together from various municipalities to talk about how they can tackle this as a collective. If you Google Sloan's Lake Park Foundation, they'll pop right up. Saturday, October 25th, there is a free drug disposal. So if you have any unused or expired medications, you can drop them off between 10 and 2 at the District 1 headquarters. Okay, and then here's some fun Halloween activities that have already happened, but I have some that are about to happen. We have Mountain St. Vincent this Friday from 5 to 7, trunk or treat. There is a Highland Honey Lane Parade that's there on Saturday. On Sunday, there's going to be a Harvest Festival at Highland Square. I think that one's gonna be extra fun because it's got a pumpkin patch and a jumpy house and a beer garden. And then lastly, there is the Mile High Trunk or Treat, and that's at Empower Field. That one's huge, like about 1,000 people go to that one. It's a really, really big event. And then beyond that, Dia de los Muertos, that's going to be Saturday, November 1st from 5 to 8 p.m. It is at Chaffee Park this year. Historically, it's at La Raza. La Raza is under construction for improvements. So this year, and this year only, it will be at Chaffee Park. And then things to be aware of. So Denver Water has contacted our office, and there are scammers posing as Denver Water workers. They knock on the door and claim to be with them. There is an article that Denver Water has put out on how to spot scammer fake water workers. Moving on to happier things. Denver Snow Angels program. So this is super neat. If you're over 18 and you live in the city and county of Denver, you can sign up to volunteer to shovel somebody else's home. So someone that is older and cannot do it themselves, or somebody with a disability, you can sign up to be a volunteer. They will contact you when it snows and ask that you show up and just be a good neighbor. There is a competition, I believe, just for bragging rights, but you know, those are important too, as to which council district has the most signups for this volunteer program. So if we're council district number 1, we really got to live up to the name. So some budget next steps. So on October 20th, the mayor did send a letter back to Denver City Council in response to the letter they sent to him, in response to the letter he sent to us, and so it goes. On October 27th, there will be a public hearing. So if you'd like to attend virtually and speak or show up in person, you can do that. And then I also have some other dates, but no one wants to hear me say that verbatim. These are the next steps. Solid waste changes, for those of you who didn't know. You can start setting out your carts the night before if you don't want to wake up at 5 a.m. to set your carts up at 6 a.m. instead of 7 a.m. Solid waste is going to be getting out earlier to make sure they pick up all the trash that they're supposed to be picking up. A reminder, compost and recycling the week of Thanksgiving will not be picked up. I do have a link to their trash schedule so that you can see further out. This is the most up-to-date information I have. If they give me other information, I will update this. As far as I know, you can put out your trash carts as regularly scheduled for Veterans Day. Put them out 1 day delayed for Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving, 1 day delayed, no compost, no recycling. I have some newsletter topics and links to those within the city. So if you're interested in land use, I've got a newsletter for you. Environment, I've got one for you. Parks and Rec, I've got one for you. A reminder, no matter where you reside in Denver, you always have 3 representatives. So you do have Councilwoman Sandoval. You also have 2 at-large representatives. So for example, I personally live in Cap Hill. These 2 women represent me just as Councilman Hines represents me. So at any time, no matter where you live, you always have 3. We have legislative initiatives, but you can also check that out on your own because who wants to hear me read that verbatim? Survey. So if you're not subscribed to our newsletter, I have a QR code for you to sign up so you can get all this information on the 1st of the month and you don't have to wait for me to come to the meeting. If you already subscribed, thanks, appreciate it. But please share the word. We do have, like, there are some items that end up being scrapped from the slide deck by the time I come to this meeting. For example, Sloan's Lake Boathouse survey that was open until October 6th. Today is the 21st, so I'm not going to put that survey in here. But if you subscribe to the newsletter, you will see that in there on the 1st. And then, do you want me to go back For those of you who don't know, and some of you have heard me say this a million times, so I'm so sorry if you have to hear me again. Department of Transportation Infrastructure, otherwise known as DOTI, has an advisory board. We do have somebody appointed to the board who actually is part of Sloan. His name is Alan Calgill. Councilman Sandoval appointed him to this advisory board. So if you have concerns about street lighting, traffic calming measures, questions about potholes, trash, etc., you can go to this meeting. And we do meet regularly with Alan. So I will tell them I went to Sloan's Lake Citizens Group and they said, what do you mean they're not picking up compost and recycling? Then he'll tell me. The advisory board, we also heard that concern and somebody talked about the 6 a.m. change. So we communicate with him regularly. And then that's how you can attend, Tuesday of every month. Same thing goes for Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. We actually have 2 members in Council District 1, one appointed by Councilman Sandoval, and the mayor happened to appoint somebody that lives in Council District 1. So if you have any concerns about Sloan's Lake Park, you can go here and talk with them about any concerns, ideas, issues you may be having. And we also meet with them regularly, as a matter of fact, and met with them on Friday. There's the Citizens Advisory Group. So that is Denver Police Department every 3rd Wednesday at 6 p.m. They share crime stats like you saw here, but they also go over the whole district. And the commander is there, the lieutenant is there, your community resource officers are there. You can attend virtually or in person. And that gives you a chance to talk to them one-on-one. Hard for them to squirm away when they're face-to-face. So you can talk about any issues that you may be having or crime trends you're noticing with them. Ways to report crime. So I'm sure you know most of them, but one that I always highlight is we now have the capability to text 911. And I just think that's a really great tool in case you're in a situation where you can't talk. Contacts for Denver Police Department. So commander and lieutenant are listed there. And I do have an update to reflect your new community resource officers, Technician Reyes and Sanchez. We also have the homeless outreach team on the right-hand side. Contacts for the street engagement team. So this is a team that's an unarmed civilian team enforcing low-level city ordinances. If you would like more information, because I'm not fantastic at explaining it, I do have a link and the presentation that they give to City Council that goes more in depth. I have contacts for city resources, so 311, super, super, super important. The more data we have as a city, the more resources we can allocate to it. I know it can be super frustrating. I've been frustrated by it. I am frustrated when people call me frustrated about it because I want to fix everything so bad. But the more data we have, the more that we can say, look at this problem. 50 people called about it. So that's just always super important. Please keep that in mind.
Put them on speed dial like I have.
You could.
Try it.
I'm not against it. I also have a permit, a link for the Parks and Rec permits, a link for how to watch City Council and committees. And then ways to connect with us. District 1 at denvergov.org is super, super great. We also have our phone number, our newsletter, and so on. Office staff, there's Gina, Melissa, and myself, which just leads us to questions.
I have a couple questions, Alessandra. It's Jennifer online. So
Hi.
when you text 311, how is that interactive? Does it give you a link then to fill out a form or?
So I've texted 311 for a few different things. I've asked it, what requirements do I need for a permit? And it'll just shoot it out at me. I'm pretty sure it's like an AI chatbot essentially. So I've asked.
Honey.
Yeah, it's sunny, because Denver has 300 days of sunshine, which isn't true, but that's a different story for another day. So it'll give you all that information. You can just type in Parks and Rec Advisory Board, and it might give you a link for that. I've reported trash in the street. I've reported dead birds on the sidewalk a time or two through that, and it'll route it to the correct person. It is a little quirky, because for example, one time I reported a bird and it asked me if it was like a blackbird or a hawk, and I said it was a pigeon, and it said, "Oh, great, we're gonna start again then." And I was like, "Oh, okay." It's not what I wanted
Oh,
to
yeah,
do,
yes.
you were asking questions, so that can be frustrating, but it is essentially a chatbot.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
cool. And then the other thing I wanted to ask about for the compost, so it misses, not the compost, forget about the compost. The recycle is every 2 weeks. So when it misses that, does that mean it's the next week, or does it mean you go a month without recycle picked up?
For Thanksgiving,
Yeah,
you're saying?
yes.
I think it just. I'm not sure, so I don't want to say the wrong thing, but if you're able to send us an email, or you might even be able to call 311 and they could give you that information. If you're able to send us an email, I can research it more, as Thanksgiving is next month, that's fast approaching, because I don't want to give you the wrong information and have people either kind of upset or really upset.
Yeah,
So I want to make sure I give you the right answer.
good question,
Mhm.
because it would throw off their whole schedule, I would think, if if they didn't wait 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
That's a lot of recycling though after Black Friday.
Let us know, won't you? I would actually
Well,
know.
I'm gonna
to know the
text
answer.
311 and I'll let you know.
There you go.
Say hi to Sunny for us. No?
I will.
Did you have a question or a comment, Sarah? What do you mean they didn't do the whole thing?
It's like,
Apparently it was way worse on 17 than on 26. That was their reasoning, and that's why it went a lot more quickly. That was a great question, yeah, because I thought, wow, that was kind of quick. What did it take? About 2 weeks, maybe 3? It was very fast. So it almost makes me wonder, should I step on that dirt? No, I wouldn't either. And so I won't. I was thinking that would make a nice farm. Anyway, I'm a gardener. What can we say? Okay, thank you. Sandra, anybody else? And hopefully we'll get. Oh, here we go. Found it right away. Yay. So just wanted to quickly mention that on November 12th, we are going to hook up with a couple, 3 other RNOs. Well, 2 other RNOs. Jefferson Park, Honey, Sloan's Lake, and Jeff Park Business Improvement District are getting together for a happy hour at JP's, which used to be thank you. Sargent's, yes. So it's brand new and it'd be good to see what they're about over there. So 2900 West 25th. And somebody got that one right. So what me? Tom, you want to talk about?
Yes, Sloan's Lake Citizens Group is, again, I think this is gonna be our 13th annual. We have a pancake breakfast for the veterans at Veterans Apartments at 27th and Federal. And it's something that the residents really enjoy. I'll be at the Safeway across the street and somebody will come, are you gonna have a pancake breakfast again this year? So we do pancakes from scratch. We have bacon, orange juice.
Do the blueberry pancakes too?
Yeah,
Blueberries, yep. Blueberry pancakes. And,
Coffee.
yep, and people just really enjoy it. They come down and from, Madonna, who's like the resident manager there, to get some of these people out of their apartments that don't necessarily come out. So,
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
and it's a lot of fun. I flip a lot of pancakes.
And he's good at it, yeah, that's for sure. There is a free self-defense class being offered on Saturday, November 8th from 10 to 2. CrossFit at 2031 Bryan Street, register via Eventbrite. So here's your QR code in the lower right corner for that. If you're interested, I'm afraid I'd kill myself if I do that. We already saw those. There's still time to take the Denver Resilient Landscapes. There's a QR code here for that. You can give your thoughts about landscape policy here, and you only have a few more days to do it. So it looks like October 26th it closes. So 5 days. It's important though, if you have any strong thoughts about what you'd like Denver to look like going forward. Like putting a tree on the right of way is like being mandatory, right? Something like that. I don't know. Putting a tree on the right of way, that's something I would like to see personally. I'm just throwing things out there. But anyway, that's what the survey's for, just to let them know your ideas. And I just wanted to mention that Sloan's Lake is looking for help. We are looking for board members, or just if you want to come and help us. We're understaffed, so to speak. We have a small board, and we're really looking for people who want to join. If you have an idea for a chair position, we could use almost anything. So, including the Zoom master. Hey, I tried, folks. But anyway, please keep that in mind, or pass the word to anyone you think might be interested. It would be really helpful.
Alessandra was talking about the snow angels, and they come and take care of my neighbor to the north. She's living in her house. She just turned 100. And actually, our snow angel is Alan.
He's our everything angel, isn't he?
The Zoom angel.
He's the Zoom angel, the bike bus angel, you know, so he does it all. Anyway, thanks again for joining us tonight. Really good to see all of you, and thank you for coming. And
On your way out.
yes, by gosh, we're finishing up early. Thank you. How did that happen?
Yes, so like all that stuff.